Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Welcome to another episode of Winning in Business. My name is Kelly Rissy and I'm your host. And today we are going to dive into 5 tips to reduce stress-inducing clutter. It is April after all, and that means spring cleaning. And what I love about this episode today is this is going to apply to business and it's also going to apply to your life. We know that stress is an inevitable, easy for me to say, part of modern life. And the different areas of clutter are physical, digital, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And each type of clutter leads to a unique form of stress. And the good news about it is there's always a solution to decrease clutter and bring harmony back into your life. So let's go through each type of clutter and then a tip for each one. So let's start with physical clutter, because I feel like that one is the most visible, right? And especially if you are someone that is a visual person, like myself, clutter will increase anxiety, overwhelm, stress quickly because you see everything and you see the clutter. So physical clutter is a classic too much stuff scenario, right? So overflowing file cabinets, just things piled up on your desk. So those littered surfaces, you have unwanted or outdated items that are laying around or even hidden places. And physical clutter can be caused by procrastination, indecision, or it requires an action. And so you have the clutter because you're waiting to do something, which is the action, right? Now, the interesting thing is that when you think about it, oftentimes we touch something, and then if we don't do something with it immediately, we're procrastinating. And so then we lay it down, and then, next thing you know, piles start. And it's because we're procrastinating on making a decision about what needs to be done with that, or we're procrastinating on making the decision. And then, physical clutter just gets in the way of things. And then it starts overtaking the environment, and that causes stress. So here's 2 tips, actually. Number 1, schedule 15 minutes a day to sort and organize. Yes, put it in your calendar. And this is something really good to do right before, at the end of your day. So that way, when you start your day the next day, your office, your desk, your car, whatever, your kitchen, whatever it is nice and organized and ready to go for the next day. And then also think about the touch it once rule. So touch it once. You need to decide, does it spark joy and serve a purpose, which means you're going to keep it, or do you need to thank it for its service and bid it farewell? Also, when you touch it, do you need to take action on it? So this goes back to if you're getting a bill in the mail, do you need to go take care of it right then? Then it's done. You're done with it. It doesn't need to lay around in piles. So that's up to you, right? Or you put them all somewhere where you know exactly where all of them are, and then it is blocked out in your calendar that you are addressing your bills. Now, most of the time, our bills now are online. That's a whole different form of clutter. But really looking up at this routine and thinking about what is laying around, what is hidden in closets, what is hidden in drawers. Does it spark joy? Does it serve a purpose? Do you need to thank it for its service and say goodbye to it? All right, next. Digital clutter. So, our digital devices are like a second home, and they can often be just as messy. And we have, endless emails. We have unorganized files. It can be your apps, like how many apps you have open. And thinking about, if you just think about your phone and how many pages of apps do you have? Or do you have them all nice and neat in what we call the app folders, which then condenses and everything is nice and neat? You can see it all on one page. But every time you sit down to work on your phone, to your phone, to work on your computer, if things are messy, your brain is fighting against the digital clutter. So again, we take another deep breath. And the tip for this one is plan a monthly or quarterly digital detox. Plan to unsubscribe from unnecessary emails. Are you even putting like flags on emails that you don't want anymore to just go right into junk? Are you unsubscribing from them? Can you organize your digital files into better folders? Can you delete things? What are you no longer, like you do not need that anymore? It is past the years of you will never need that. And if you do need it, you can find it somewhere else. You can Google it. You can look it up. Like you don't need to save it. And then also delete apps that are time wasters. You can delete apps, even those that you have purchased. If you're not using them right now, you can delete them. And then if you want to bring them back on your phone, then you just download them again. You don't have to purchase them again, but you can get rid of them. So be intentional and schedule time in your calendar. Think about once a quarter, scheduling the time in your calendar to do some digital cleanup. All right. Then we move on to mental clutter. And mental clutter is the equivalent of having too many browser tabs open. Except it's not on your computer, it's in your mind. And so mental clutter can be unfinished tasks, it can be mental to-do lists, future worries, it can be doubts that you have about things, and it creates a chaotic mind environment. There's also mental clutter from too much physical clutter. And it's like a whirlwind of constant thoughts. And these constant thoughts leave us distracted, leave us feeling overwhelmed, anxious. And it can, it takes twice as long to get into the flow of work and complete tasks when you have mental clutter. So you can gauge your mental clutter on how many unfinished projects that are waiting for you to complete. Ugh. A good way to kind of combat this one is some mind mapping or journaling. So writing things down, right? This is the brain dump of transferring things out of your mind onto paper can help you then be able to prioritize and focus on one task at a time. And this will help you just kind of declutter and organize your mind. When I lead clients through my one-day breakthrough experience, several portions of our day address mental clutter. And before we work together, my clients feel like scattered, distracted, unfocused. They feel pulled in too many directions. And then they go through the breakthrough and they feel focused, calm. They have more clarity around their goals and the tasks they need to do. And the texts, the emails that I get after the breakthrough of the things that they're accomplishing because they've gotten rid of mental clutter is absolutely amazing. Their task and their productivity like skyrockets from getting rid of mental clutter. All right, then there's emotional clutter. I tell you what, y'all, emotional clutter is the one that most people like to avoid. And it is the difference that makes the difference. So emotional clutter, holding on to past grudges. It can be unresolved conflict. It can be bottled up feelings. And those feelings do not have to be feelings of anger, frustration, or resentment. It can be guilt. It can be sadness. It can be fear. And It can also be anger, frustration, resentment, but it's like carrying an invisible backpack filled with bricks when you have this type of emotional clutter. And it is exhausting. And it is the most tiring of the clutters because it drains your emotional energy. Emotional clutter leads to physical illness, disease, burnout. And as I said, sadly, it's the clutter that gets ignored and avoided the most in business owners and professionals. Why? Because they're like, I don't have time to deal with that. Here's how I see this being played out all the time. First, people find external things to address, right? So we're going to clear the clutter that is visual, right? It's external. Or like, we need to make more money. We need to lose weight. They see themselves. It's external. They need a new system, a new process, a new website. They read self-help books thinking they can do it themselves. Then they purchase inexpensive coaching programs, online courses that give them more information. Maybe they join masterminds, very, very low-cost masterminds with hundreds of other people. And then years later, they're still having the same problem that they had 3 years ago when they started all this, because it's the same emotional clutter, because they're not addressing what they really need to address. And that keeps them stuck, keeps them spinning in the cycle. It can keep them in burnout. It can keep them from achieving their dreams. There's no transformation or integration when you live in that cycle. So then thousands of dollars and hours are gone with minimal results. That's when then they come to me and they're like, okay, I need a breakthrough. And then they leave with emotional freedom and well-being. And literally they're like, oh, I feel so much lighter. Like, I just feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. That is getting rid of emotional clutter. And one of the things that we do in that breakthrough is addressing emotions, right? And people are like, oh, addressing emotions. It is the most beautiful thing that possibly happens. And then when you leave, you have transformation of emotional and mental clutter with the integration. There's transformation and integration. So if you have not cleaned your emotional clutter along with your mental clutter, y'all, this is the next step. I know you want to do physical and digital clutter because it's easier, right? And by easier, it's doesn't take as much thought process, right? It's there, it's right next to you. You don't have to do the deeper thing. That's why my breakthroughs are one day. You need to go deep for one day. That's it. One day we need to go deep, right? We can get it done in 8 hours. All right, the last clutter is spiritual clutter. And spiritual clutter is feeling disconnected or lacking purpose. And that's what kind of causes that spiritual like unrest is what I'll say, feeling disconnected or lacking purpose. And, we can relate this to, have you ever been in a room full of people and yet you feel like you're alone? That's kind of like that spiritual clutter. And it can be elusive, and it can be a feeling of emptiness or a lack of fulfillment. So my tip for this one is to seek activities that really nourish your soul. Get out in nature, connecting with nature, putting your feet, actually your bare feet, on the ground is so nourishing. Volunteering. Where can you go and volunteer? Because when you volunteer and you take that focus off you and you put it on other people, you always feel so much better. And engaging in meaningful conversations. They will really help with just all three of those things, bringing peace and just more clarity into your life. And so, when you look at your life as a whole, these are 5 areas that can show up in all of the different areas of your life, right? So any of these clutters can affect you financially. They can affect you socially. They can affect your health. Like they will get in the way of your career, all of these things. So that's why it is so important to address the clutters and to really clear them. So let's see. Oh, you know what? I also feel like let's see, I was thinking there was one more thing I wanted to tell you, but oh, maybe I covered it all. So clutter of any form can induce stress. The biggest thing is that it's getting to the root cause of it. What is the root cause? Even if you are someone that tends to like gather a lot of stuff and ends up with too much, and then you're always like, oh, I'm always having to go through my stuff. I completely understand. You got to get to the root cause of it, right? Because when you get to the root cause, which is going to be mental or emotional, then you can start the transformation. So I encourage you to pick one area of clutter to focus on at a time. And if you are constantly choosing physical and digital, and then you're always coming back to the same thing, and you're never addressing the mental and the emotional, it's time to address those. And remember, just like cooking, laundry, making your bed, decluttering is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process. It really is like a lifestyle choice that can lead to a more harmonious life. I did mention several times throughout here the process of the breakthrough and the power and the impact that it makes in clutter, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even with your physical clutter. So if this is something that you would like to explore, you can go to my website at www.kellyrissy.com. You can reach out to me on any platform and I will give you more information, because if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, a high-level leader, giving yourself a breakthrough is the gift that will keep on giving, because it includes transformation and it includes integration in both of those, transformation and integration. And one day, deep dive. All right. Until next time, I want you to find some clutter that you can clear and rise up and live. Bring that energy back up so that you can get stuff done. All right. See you next week. Have a great one. Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.